Can work incredibly hard, be smart, be reliable, do great work, and still see other people progress faster than you at work. And it's not necessarily because they're better, but it's often because they understand something that we're never taught. Some people call it corporate politics. I don't actually like the term because it makes it feel manipulative or it's like some game that you have to play. When really, a lot of the time, what it is about is understanding how trust, recognition, building visibility work in the organization that you're in. I'm Ali. I work in a senior leadership role in a global organization, and over my years, I have noticed the same patterns in navigating corporate politics that people who progress faster seem to know. And today I'm going to share them with you. Okay, so to begin, this is the thing. Corporate politics, it gets a bad name, and I actually don't think of it as corporate politics, but the way that I see it, there are four things that you need to be aware of and you need to be putting attention into in order to grow your career within a corporate environment. And I've sort of put them out here in this sort of onion chart because my view is they start to have ripple effects, right? If you start to focus on these things, they do start to have ripple effects. And there's four layers. The first is reputation. Like you have to make sure that you are building a solid reputation and you're protecting that reputation. The next is relationships. You have to build good relationships with the people that you work with. And you have to be clever in terms of who are all the stakeholders that you need to build those relationships with. You need to build visibility. You need to make sure that your work is seen, your work is known, and you need to build that recognition with senior leadership. So, reputation is all about how others perceive you. Your relationships are who is willing to help you out, like building out your relationships. So you're building out that crew of people who's willing to help you out. Your visibility is about whether others see your work, and recognition is do senior leaders know who you are. So let's go through them one by one. So reputation, it is by far the first thing that you should be focusing on because you don't want to have a bad reputation in the business. This is almost like the thing that you want to be protecting, right? So the first thing that you want to do is protect your reputation. And here is one hard truth. People's opinion of you will influence your career progress. And it's just this sort of human nature thing that happens. So there's a thing called the halo effect within social psychology. And what the halo effect is it's basically a way that I see you about one thing has an overarching impact on how I see you about another thing. So the more formal definition is halo effect is a cognitive bias in social perception, where an observer's overall impression of a person, brand, or object influences judgments about unrelated traits, i.e., if I build a slightly negative perception about you in one area, it will have an overflowing effect into how I see you in other areas. It's just human nature, unfortunately. So, what that means is that building or protecting your reputation in a corporate environment is really, really important. And there are some really simple, just like don't do these things like negative red flags that you want to avoid, and there are other things that build your reputation. So I split them up here into things that erode your reputation and then things that build them. So again, this might seem really obvious, but actually for some people forget these things really, really easily. Office gossip. So here are the things that you should just not do. Getting involved in office gossip, like it is fun, like it is, we just have this tendency to want to know what's going on, but just don't get involved in it. And also keep in mind the people who gossip are likely gossiping. If people are gossiping to you about other people, it is very likely that they are also gossiping about you to other people as well. So just be aware and steer clear of it because it doesn't add any value. Bitching about the boss, another thing to avoid. Like, yes, like we all have moments where our boss frustrates us. It is just the nature of relationships. But if you start to involve yourselves in those negative conversations, it eventually gets known. Like it will be known. Avoid it. Like if you are finding that you are having frustrations with your boss, talk to them directly about it. Be mature. Taking it too far on nights out. Like, yes, it is good to have fun. It is good to get involved. It is good to have a drink with your teammates, but just watch how far you go. And you don't want to be the person who has acted like quite inappropriately on a Christmas night out or a big celebration. Like, get involved, absolutely, but just watch how far you take it. Keep in mind this is still a professional atmosphere. Complaining as a default, again, you don't want to be the person who is known to just be like raising problems and raising complaints all the time and talking about how bad it is to work here and blah blah blah. Like, if you are finding that you're complaining all the time, do something about it. Maybe it's not the right maybe it's not the right business for you, but you don't want to build the reputation of someone who is just always negative. Not telling the truth, this comes up to bite you. Like, just be honest, be truthful. If an error occurs, raise it. If you are having talking to your boss about something, like, just be truthful. Like, it will come back to bite you. So just tell the truth. And try not to take things too personally. This one, look, I'm not saying don't have emotions in the workplace. I think humans are emotional beings and it is perfectly acceptable to be emotive or have emotions about things. But if over time you are starting to repetitively have emotional reactions towards things or starting to just take things too personally and um, react in ways that actually aren't helpful, you need to watch it. So, again, I'm not saying don't have emotions. I think emotions are actually really healthy in a workplace, but you need to be cautious and conscious of how those emotions, whether they are impacting your environment in a positive way or whether they're actually resulting in more work for the team or just unhelpful, like if they're just unhelpful and causing additional work because they're causing people to react as well. So just be careful of how your emotional reactions to things might be impacting others. In terms of reputation builders, so these are things, again, maybe really easy to do or maybe really obvious, but not everyone does them. But here are things that help. If you volunteer to help other people, if you volunteer to help on like cultural events, those types of things, it is noticed. It goes a long way. Like, be the person who says yes to help someone else out. It goes a long way. Engaging in culture days, whether that is organized, like company organized events or events for your team, involve yourself, engage yourself. It really makes a difference. Bring positivity. Again, this is almost like the opposite to someone who complains all the time. But rather than being the person who is only thinking about problems, be the person who goes, well, how might we solve this? Be the person who brings positivity to a meeting. Like, smile, ask people how they are, bring bubbly nature. It does make a difference. Publicly celebrating others, be the person who like shares a win for someone else or thanks them publicly. Again, it builds your reputation. Show genuine appreciation and own your mistakes. These are all small things that it's basically you acting in integrity. But if you do these over time, you are building your what's called sort of like invisible PR. You're building your reputation around you and it will speak volumes. Okay, next one in the onion chart is relationships and building out your relationships. So remember, this is about building out a group of people around you who, so that you are increasing the number of people who are willing to help you out. And the thing with relationships, right, is they need to be built on trust. Like, trust is one of the biggest currencies within an organization. And actually, the quicker you build trust, the faster it will be for you to get things done. And the more you don't focus on this, the slower it will be for you to get things done. Because here's the hard truth: no one succeeds on their own in a corporate environment. Everything you do, you need people around you in order to get them done. And strong relationships are the things that help you get things done. And you will always need other people to support you in a business. Whether that is you need their expertise because you need something from them, like you actually need them to do work for you, or their influence, like when you need their buy in, or their counsel when you need their advice. You will always need the support of other people in a business. So take the time to invest in your relationships. And the first thing you need to do is actually just have a think, like literally spend 10 minutes to think about who is your stakeholder list? Who are the stakeholders around you that you need in order to get things done in an organization? Identify them, identify the ones that you need to invest more time with and do it, get time with them. And there's this sort of theory or concept called the emotional bank account, which is used more in relationship counseling. And I think it's a Gottman based theory, or it is spoken a lot about in Gottman Institute. But basically, it's this theory that between every person, within every relationship, there is an emotional bank account. And when you do good things for that relationship, you're adding deposits. But when you do something that is negative, you are also taking away. And actually, what they talk about is the negative moments they actually take out 5 times more from the emotional bank account than the positive deposits. Now, this is more definitely within your relationships, like with your partner. And it's like when you pick a fight that you probably didn't need to, that's taking 5 deposits out of the bank, and then you gotta add 5 deposits back in. It can be exhausting, but actually, it's just something to know with work. This is the same thing. You have an emotional bank account with everyone. You have an emotional bank account with anyone that you have a relationship with. So do your best to add as many deposits as you possibly can. So here are some ways to add deposits into the emotional bank account. I've got 5 here, but the first one, be personable. Okay. Take the 3 minutes to ask someone about their weekend, about their family, about their pets, and remember those personal details. What you want to do is find common interests, because people naturally warm to those who they connect with and who they share something in common with. So it might feel, some people find this like it's a waste of time, but you can, time box it. Just take the time to get to know someone. Honestly, it does really, really help. Give genuine praise. People never do this. No one ever makes the effort to let others know when they think that they've done a good job, or even as simple as when they're wearing something that they think is fabulous. But take the time to give someone a genuine compliment. Be that person, because no one takes time to do this. And this can look as simple as giving a genuine compliment, as I said. So in person, it could be, hey, like, love your outfit today, or it could be, you nailed that presentation the other day, like, I really admire how you spoke. That takes courage. People don't do it, but people really, like, when if someone gives you a compliment about, I don't know, like, how your hair looks, or if someone gives you a compliment about, hey, when you did that speech the other day, it, like, you spoke to me, and I really heard your words, and I just thought that you showed up really well. It makes a difference. It does, like, you feel good about yourself. So imagine how easy it is for you to make someone else feel good. Like, just take the 5 seconds to give that compliment. Another way is to just send a thoughtful email or Slack. Like, take the 2 minutes to send the note. It makes a huge difference. And it can be really simple, right? Like, you can just send a note to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I thought you nailed that presentation yesterday. It was really impressive. Like, it doesn't take you long. As long as it's genuine, it will have a big impact on that person. Uh, then number 3 is understand their challenges and focuses. So what you want to do when you're when you're making deposits into your emotional bank account in your relationship is to build empathy. You want to learn about that other person's world, work out what you can do to help them, and work out what their challenges are. And you want to do as much as you can to learn their world from their point of view. So again, you can do this in, like, this is a really easy conversation to have, and like, I've given you some scripts here if you need them, but you can ask them things like, hey, I really want to understand your world. Can you help me understand the pressures that you're facing? What makes work tough for you? How can I help? If you open your relationships in this way, or if you invest time to understand this, it will really add deposits into that emotional bank account. The other thing that you can do is, when you are working in groups or cross functional teams, recognize the challenges that others are facing. So I understand this might be a challenge for you guys. Given timelines on the ask, I'm hoping we can figure out a way to fit this in, but just acknowledge the challenge that others are facing. Another way to be adding into the emotional bank account is to throw out what I call boomerangs. Boomerangs in Australia are like those, they come back to you, right? So that's how I see favors. The more favors you throw out there, the more that will return your way. So just help people out. It does eventually come back to benefit you as well. So help people out. Like, if people need help, just say yes. And again, celebrate others. Give a shout out at a meeting, congratulate others on their success, thank people publicly for their contribution. Adding, if you are sending out a report about something or an update about something, like, thank the people who have been involved. Again, it goes a long way. And the reality is, when you're building relationships, you need to find the downtime. So whilst these are all different sort of tactics that you can do, or tips that you can do to build those relationships, the thing that really helps is just doing it in a really personable way. Shout someone a coffee, join the work drinks. These little moments do add up to build your relationships over time. The next bit in the onion chart of navigating corporate politics is building visibility. So, visibility is about making sure that others see your work. So, there are a couple of things that I wanted to highlight about this. The reality is, like, you do need to make sure that your work is seen, because the hard truth, hard work isn't enough if it's hidden. And this one really bites women in the bum, if I'm completely honest, because we have a tendency to not want to share our work, and we have a tendency to feel that visibility is bragging, and it's not. Because the reality is, your boss doesn't know what you're working on, your team doesn't know what you're working on, your stakeholders don't, your leaders don't. And it is your job to make sure that it's known. Like, it is your job to update them in ways where they can absorb that information. So the trick is, you want to keep it concise. You want to talk to progress. You want to frame your work around impact, i.e., why the work matters. And you want to ensure it's always relevant. You don't want to talk about all the work that you're doing if it's not relevant to that person. Like, they're not going to care. And that's when it can come across as bragging. So as long as you're doing these 4 things, it's going to be okay. And I have some examples of how you can do this. There's the weekly roundup, there is a project wrap up, or there is also just like offering to present your work. So, your weekly roundup, this should be a short email at the end of every week that you're sending to your boss, and it highlights the top 3 things that you're progressing, the top 3 priorities for next week, and anything that you need from them. All this does, like, this should take you 5 minutes, and it should take 3 minutes to read. But all this does is it keeps your boss across what is going on. It helps them understand your workload and anything that they need to unblock for you. Now, I know that people kind of struggle to write these types of emails because, I don't know, they do feel like it's bragging about their work. But so I've given you a way to frame this, is because it's definitely not bragging about your work. All it is building visibility and building awareness of the type of work that you are doing, so your boss is across it. Because remember, they are across 10 times the amount of things that you are. Like, you have to keep them across your work. So here is an example email template. Hey, sending this over as I know you have a lot on your plate and I want to ensure you're across how I'm progressing on my focus areas. Here's my 3 focus areas from this week. Here's my priorities for next week. Here are some examples of if you were a product manager, for instance, and here's what I need from you. Again, keep it short, keep it sharp, and keep it relevant and on things that you know are a priority for the business. The next is to do a project wrap up. So whenever there is a project that you are working on that has finished, or something that you are leading that is finished, make sure that you're sending a wrap up of that to key stakeholders. So share a report plus any key insights to your relevant stakeholder group. There are some tips though. Make it easy. So write a concise summary of the key points. Like, yes, if there's a 50-page document that is worthwhile attaching, of course attach it, but no, not everyone's going to read it. So in the body of the email, make it really easy for your stakeholders to understand what were the key points. Then make it relevant. So highlight the actions that the business are taking off the back of that project, and make it visible. So share in this note, people won't always open up a attachment, and if they do, it's hard for them to know what are the key slides. So do them a favor, make it easy, and just copy paste the key slides from that document into the body of the email. And the last one, offer to present. So in this one, just if there's a team meeting or a department all hands, like, offer to share your work. Reach out to the person organizing it to say, hey, I have some relevant information that I think the team would benefit from. Can I get a 10-minute slot? Not only does this build awareness in the business of the work that you are doing, and just sharing it so it's actually beneficial for them because it is likely helpful for them, but it also allows you to practice presenting. So make sure to offer. And then the final layer of my corporate politics onion is recognition. Do senior leaders know who you are? So here's the thing. You want to ensure that you are salient or top of mind with senior leaders, because the hard truth is opportunities happen in conversations that you're not in. But there is a way to do this. And I think a lot of people get this wrong, where they're sort of just like, oh, I want to be on their radar. And they try to build connection with them, or they go around their boss. But there's a way to do this to make sure that you're not getting your boss offside, and that they are like happy, and that they're happy to support you. So a couple of things. First, just remember, when you're thinking about senior leadership, like, your boss is still number one. Your boss has to be the priority. And you need to manage your boss really well. So make your boss's job easier as much as you can. The more you can take off their plate, including their stress, the more they're going to rely on you and support you. So find out what it is that stresses them, what their priorities are, and do what you can to take away from them. The second one, again, boss is number one. Any conversation you're planning with other senior leaders, you have to make sure your boss knows about it first. Like, don't just reach out to them. Don't reach out to your two up without your boss knowing. Most of the time they won't care, but it's it's just kind to let them know. It's just considerate. You don't want to make them look like they got egg on their face, right? So just always keep your boss informed, and most of the time they will figure out how they can help you. Another thing to do or to consider is to find a mentor or sponsor. Find other senior leaders in your circle who could mentor you. Reach out to them directly and ask for their support in a certain area. That way, you're building a relationship, but you're also learning from them. Then the other two things in this space, which I think people just they just don't think about, but focus on doing good work. Like, the reality is, if you do good work, your reputation will precede you. You have to focus on this first before you're thinking about building out visibility and building out these relationships. But too many make the mistake of playing the game instead of just simply doing your role. So whilst it is true, good work hidden, you have to make sure that your work is visible. But the first ingredient is doing the good work. Do not forget about that. Do not chase visibility. Do not chase relationships with senior leaders unless you're nailing your job. And here is a tip that many don't think about. You should practice enterprise thinking. So senior leaders, they're thinking about the total business, right? And you need to remember, your role or team is not the only one in the company. Senior leaders are thinking about how all these pieces fit together. So if you start to talk in that way, it's actually going to show up in, like, they're going to recognize that in you. So an example is, if you're working in like product, for instance, like, that in order for product to work well, you have to have great marketing around it. You have to have great comms around it. You have to have great product and tech and enablement around. Sorry, you have to have great tech and data enablement around it. So when you are talking to senior leaders, make sure that you are showing that skill to know it's not just about product. It's about market. It's about how we market it. It's about how we communicate it directly to our customers. It's about the data and tech enablement that makes that product work well. You want to be talking in that more enterprise way. Okay, so that's it in terms of navigating corporate politics. And it's not maybe what you were thinking. I'm not talking about how to manipulate people. I'm not talking about how to influence people. I'm actually talking about doing your job well, building that trust, building that visibility, and making sure that it's recognized through building out those relationships with your senior stakeholders. So that's the actual truth about corporate politics, and how, as a senior leader, I recommend people to navigate them. If you're seeking more and you want to figure out the other steps in order to thrive in a corporate environment, have a look at this video here. It is the start of a 6-part mini series that gives you the different skills that are needed to elevate yourself in corporate.